What's up, everybody? I am back with a new movie spoiler review, and today I'll be covering Indian in the Cupboard. And it's one of those classic whimsy type of movies that came out in the 90s. It was, 95, right smack dab in the middle of the 90s. And I gotta say, when it comes to from like the 80s up until like the latter part of the 90s, when it comes to like movies, we were drunk on whimsy, and we so rarely get that nowadays. And it didn't do so well at the box office at that time. However, since then, after it came out on video release, it has drummed up a cult following. In my mind, it's not that too dissimilar to movies like what's that movie I reviewed with Macaulay Culkin, The Page Master. I think that still did slightly better, even because it was like animated and such. But it just it created this big boom of support and interest. And I wanted to talk about this one, namely because it's November. Given the fact that it's Thanksgiving, kind of like a theme going on this month. What's Thanksgiving? It's about family, food, and Native American acknowledgement. And this movie is Native American acknowledgement because we got Lightfoot, who plays Little Bear. Not to be confused with the Nick Jr. character, which honestly was a great TV show back in the day, if I do say so myself. But it also stars Hal Scardino as the 9-year-old boy Omri. I don't know who names a kid Omri if they don't come from some kind of Pacific culture themselves. We also got David Keith as Boo-Hoo Boone, Lindsay Krause as Jane, the mom, Richard Jenkins as Victor, the dad. We got Steve Coogan as the WW1 medical officer, Tommy Atkins. Pretty much talks more so like a parody of what Dick Van Dyke did in Mary Poppins, which I think he probably borrowed from someone like Steve Coogan. We got Sakina Joffrey as Lucy, the friend to the mom to Omri's best friend. Speaking of which, Rashid Bayat, who plays Patrick, Omri's best friend. And we got Nestor Sereno as his teacher. This was directed by Frank Oz. And this is based on a 1980s children's book. Which is more so called In the Cupboard. No, I never knew that, honestly. It was based off an actual children's book, so it's a fun fact. Also, fun fact, Lightfoot was brought on to this project because he is, also like a Native American rapper. Specifically from the Cherokee tribe. They saw his performance. At least certain producers and Hollywood bigwigs saw his performance in Rome and brought him on. And he also wanted to make sure he told them there wasn't no people nowadays. There's no proper representation. You get the right people involved, There will be natural representation, not no force organized, have to do this kind of thing. He made sure that his character was of the same the tribe of the uh what would be the Algonquin, the Ono, the Onondaga, or otherwise known as Arukuis. So this also is a fun fact. Not even fun fact. It's just a fact. There's nothing fun about it. This film, kind of like with The Crow, had like a death of a technician, Pat Turner, who fell while riding a motorized hoist used to lift scenery on the soundstage at Sony Pictures in Culver City. Tanner's death led to a change in motion picture safety rules on IATSE union film sets to prevent similar accidents. So there's some stuff that went on that helped shape this film. So before I continue on, please leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Do you remember India in the Cupboard? How well do you remember it? So, Omri celebrates his 9th birthday by being gifted from his 14-year-old brother a old cupboard. It's a little small cupboard thing. His mom gifted him this old key. Well, there's a bunch of keys, but that came from her mom, who passed away before the boy was born, and one of which managed to fit inside the cupboard. And then he also got from his brother this small Native American toy, because he collects toys. It kind of reminds me of me as a kid, because I collected a bunch of, I had a bunch of action figures before I started getting into video games. Now, excuse me, I'm still a little stuffed up, but I want to make sure at least my throat is clear, so that way I can actually give my review. So, while putting the Indian in the cupboard, he leaves the key into the door lock, and then later at night he discovers this toy has come to life, and completely shocked. He thinks he's a giant spirit, and he thinks he's imagining things. And they tell each other their names, and the boy decides to keep this as a secret. He then tries to test out if it's just him, or he can, because he doesn't know, nor does the film tells us whether it's the key or the cover itself that bringing these items to life. But he puts a G.I. Joe, Darth Vader toy, a dinosaur, and a couple other things inside this cupboard, closes it, locks it, and then unlocks it and opens it, and they're all alive fighting each other. And looking back on it, I was like, wow, yeah, they would not be able to do any of that today because copyright. And I'm shocked that even, of course, mind you, what's the IPs of today wasn't at the same standard as they were back then, where of course you can throwing Darth Vader fighting a Snake Eyes and a dinosaur, without Hasbro or Disney lawyers coming after you, because it wasn't a big deal, because it wasn't profitable at that time. But it was only a snippet. They didn't go crazy with it, mind you. Maybe they probably would have given them crap if they, lasted longer than that quick half of a minute. But it was still long enough. It was like, wow. Because I completely forgot about that was a thing. Because I remember watching Idiot Undercover quite a bit of time as a kid. Not one of my biggest favorite films to ever constantly go back to, but I still remember it fondly. So, Armory decides like, okay, no, this is too crazy. I was going to just keep it this Native American. So, these two started to form a bit of a bond, and decides like that, organize some stuff to help Little Bear get settled in. Excuse me. Sorry, like I said, I'm still a little bit stuffy. Decides to help Little Bear to get a little bit more settled in. Give him like, because a plastic teepee was gonna cut it. Even when he brought the teepee to life by, making it more realistic via the cover, he went more for a longhouse. Excuse me. So, sorry. Like I said, it's like I'm a little, still, recovering. 1 second. Ooh, sorry. Anyway. So, Little Bear wants to make sure that, hey, I need my tools, I need my weapons. Little Bear decides like, okay, he brings a medieval knight to life, takes his axe, which is not like a tomahawk, but it was probably close enough for him, brings it back, or brings him to life, takes the the freaking axe, locks the door, and he turns back to a toy, and then he tossed that sucker, off, around his shoulders like he was nothing. Dude, this is like a medieval knight. This is like a lot. Of course, he's a kid. He's not thinking about all that stuff. He's, it's kids. Once you get locked onto one thing, they're locked onto it. But then he gets this a Native American toy from the Mohawk tribe that's holding a longbow and arrows. He brings him to life and takes his weapons, and then from the sheer shock of what he's seeing, the Mohawk chieftain has a heart attack and dies. And of course, being 9 years old, Armory has no idea what to do. He's completely confused, and or at least he's never seen death or haven't witnessed death like that before. And this is where Little Bear comes to understand this is no great spirit. He actually is like a young child, and kind of realize this ain't like Toy Story. Matter of fact, didn't Toy Story come out same year? Yeah, the same year. Matter of fact, Toy Story 1 came out in November of 1995. Well, this came out in July of 1995. So it was like a year of things being brought to life, toys being brought to life. However, Pixar managed to do it better, even though this did it in live action. So we got two comparable things, one done in live action and one done in animation. The animation one did it superior, but India in the cover, given the effects, especially of that time, still was pretty impressive. With the whole scale of it all. I mean, I'm pretty sure people who are more experts on CGI and like green screens and all this other stuff might give a better details of errors that were probably made to the untrained eye. But from what I saw, this is because I've seen some doozies, but this one seems, for 1995 standards, this seems like a good use of effects. It's very well done. Comes across very seamless. But you come to realize that these aren't just toys being brought to life. They're being transported somewhere. I guess, given how they were crafted, it's never really fully explained. Are these like, because I know you don't want to explain too much of the magic. That's part of the whole fantasy of it all. But but it's kind of confusing in regards to, okay, clearly as they kind of make reference to they being brought from somewhere else, probably from a particular, the way they was crafted in regards to the time period. Like clearly Little Bear coming from the time period of the French and Indian War. So he comes from a specific time period where he's kind of pulled from. So it's just, I don't know. It's like, is it from the actual history? It's like it's more so maybe like a mystical time portal, or is Armory like kind of like with Man in Black at the end of the Man in Black? It's like, oh, they're actually like each universe is like a marble to a gigantic alien kind of thing. It's like, is like Omri somebody else's toy from a particular time period that they can just open up their little cabinet, pull out Omri, because that'd be kind of like a funny little Mad TV type of joke. But this causes friction between Little Bear and Omri because, like, oh, you're just a kid. You don't know any better. You're tampering with magic you do not understand, and you're putting people's lives at risk. Uh, Eventually, he ends up. I guess Omri is on like a it pushed onto a particular journey through this ordeal, this particular uh, situation where I wouldn't say he's being forced to grow up, but he's kind of dealing with grown up kind of situations where the dad ends up sending him. Well, he wants to go pick up some particular tools or something like that from the store, and Omri wants to go by himself because he just wants to show that he can handle the responsibility. Kids nowadays, I mean, I'm not sure how many of them have that kind of mindset to actually go out to, do something without any type of supervision. Now, he's 9 years old, yes. However, the store is not that far. And it's during the day. So, shouldn't be a big deal. But he gets jumped by some bullies. Luckily, Patrick and his mom was walking by and helped him home. But it's kind of like going back to the Page Master with Macaulay Culkin's character, where he's, on a similar character growth of becoming like, not a kid anymore, not necessarily a grown up, but he's, reaching that point. It's like with Native American culture or many other cultures, there's certain rites of passage where you leave behind the ways of a child and start to enter the gates of adulthood, and there will be struggle. Of course, with Macaulay Culkin's character of Page Master, he's too afraid to sleep out in the treehouse, or dealing with everything's afraid, frightens him. He's afraid of the dark, and afraid to like ride home from school by himself. Here, Omri doesn't have that same fear, but he comes to an understanding that there is certain challenges that he'll have to face, and it's not always going to be easy. He tells his friend Patrick about the secret, and Patrick is such a little twerp in this, where of course he's a kid, I know, but he started like, bitching that he wants one. So Omri brings Patrick's little cowboy figurine, which turns out to be Boone, to life, and he wants him to bring him to school tomorrow. And of course, immediately, because the whole cowboys and Indians kind of thing, they immediately start fighting. So Omri, puts Boone and Little Bear in his fanny pack, carefully not to move too quickly, so that he won't like have them tumble around like ping pong balls. Uh, but he's so concerned about how Patrick's behaving because Patrick doesn't understand the because 1 second. Yeah, Patrick doesn't understand the responsibility that's involved in this. Say, not like the way Amory does, because he understands these are people, and he's not, meant to be toyed with, you know. But Patrick, doesn't really see it that way, where he's trying to, you know, show off with other kids, these live people, and these two in a fight where the teacher has to intervene, and thanks to his quick thinking, Amory shouts, "They're just plastic," and of course this signals the toys to act like motionless dolls. Just convince the teacher this oh, this is just like a little squabble they'll figure out, and then he moves on. And if it wasn't for like Amory's beseeching that convinces Patrick not to behave like a ass and understand like this is your friend and he trusted you with this secret and you immediately want to start blabbing to everybody. Once again, I know he's a kid, but if there's like a true villain, because there's not really a villain in this film, but if there were a villain, it'd be Patrick because he's dark near about to blab. And of course, in kids, when you tell one person that you don't trust, you're just trying to get like cool points. The whole entire school knows, and everybody starts running to Amory's house, wanting their toys be brought to life. And who knows how many villain toys that these kids want their to be brought to life. It becomes a whole entire spectacle. So at least Patrick, quickly says, "Okay, let me not like behave in this manner." So later that night, Patrick is spending the night over Amory's place, and they was watching this. Don't know why they chose this as a movie. Watching this old film, The Last of His Tribe, which is an actual film, where we just see him like the slaughter of the Yana people by cowboys, which freaks out Little Bear, and of course Boone, who if earlier, while trapped in a fanny pack, these two started to get along, but of course Boone, who calls Boo-hoo Boone because he is easily he cries easily, and he got that name from his friends. He gets excited when he sees. It's kind of like watching like a sports team, essentially. Excited for his Cowboys, not acknowledging the fact that the Cowboys are just slaughtering. I understand, like, given the time period, that would have been a thing without no empathy or remorse. But he's like excited for his people, like to like you do that and don't acknowledge the fact that it's a complete slaughter, not even like a fair fight. If it was unlike the French and Indian War, where it's an actual battle war, so it's like okay, at least it's like somewhat on an equal footing, where it's expectation that people gonna die. This is like a complete mass slaughter, and Boone is not picking up on that at all because he's an idiot. Then he sitting there firing off like victory rounds in the air. This freaks out Little Bear, and he accidentally shoots his arrow into his chest, seemingly killing him. But because of an ordeal with Teen Omri and his brother, because Omri took one of his brother's uh, 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 little exercise balls for his pet rat, that is broken loose underneath Omri's little floorboards. Uh, he ended up taking Omri's cupboard, but in the process ends up dropping the key. They end up getting each other's things back, but the key is lodged in the floorboard, where Little Bear goes to retrieve it, fights off the rat, and they quickly use it to bring to life the WW1 medical officer, which helped treat Little Bear earlier with a cut on his leg. It helped with the set dressing with Boone, which he keeps him from dying. Omri wants, because Little Bird explained that to Omri earlier in the film that he's a widower. So not to he doesn't want Little Bird to be alone, so he decides to, like, okay, I'll find a Native American woman, bring her to life so he can have somebody. But Little Bird's like, no, don't do that. She probably is living her life, and she probably already has a family, and you're gonna rip her from that whatever time she is in, and bring her here. That she didn't ask for this. Don't do that. You keep playing with people's lives. Don't do this. So he's not doing it, and they agreed that he'll send him and Boone back to where they were. So, in a tearful goodbye, after Little Bear tells Omri that he considers him his nephew, and we get a cool transition where we actually see like a life-size Little Bear. He tells Omri how he would have be glad upon his culture and tradition to take Omri on a journey where he will take him out to train him and teach him how to live off the land and everything like that, and leave him for a season. And when he comes back, he'll be coming back as a man. And I love that, because it's like it not only because I can't help think about like Brother Bear, which is on the list for November reviews, but I'm probably gonna do that next year. But it's just that this almost like a brotherly love these two cultivated. It's it was kind of weird because you don't see that much interaction with Omri and his family outside a few scenes. They almost feel pointless throughout this entire thing. One second. Crap. My food just arrived. Hold on. Really quick. Sorry. All right. Sorry. Sorry, I had to pick up my grandpa order because it's important. The next movie review that I'll be doing, I needed to get some food for that one, and there's a particular reason why. But I'm gonna, if you follow me on the channel, you'll know. Uh, uh, so as I was saying that, Little Bear telling Amory like I would, teach you how, the ways of a culture. Come back after a season, you will be considered a man. And it's a nice little heartwarming dynamic between the two because they're more so like brothers than his actual brothers. It's like, okay, I keep comparing this. I don't know why I'm comparing this so much, but it's like Page Master. I think the family should have just been like bit parts similar to the parents of Macaulay Culkin's character because it's like they don't need to be there because they're not central or pivotal characters. They need to at least be like the anchor points to how the journey goes off. And that's what the family should have been. Because they do nothing more than just show like, hey, we're a family. We make sure they pick them up and drop them off in school and tuck them in at night. That's all they're there for. And I don't know, they might as well just been like the Charlie Brown parents. It's like, well, wah, 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 wah. Doesn't really matter what they say. They don't add nothing. That's probably my biggest criticism in this entire film. It's like there is more so a family dynamic between Amory and Little Bear than any of the human characters at all. So, Amory says his goodbyes. He locks the cover, sends Bloom and Little Bear back to wherever time period they were from, to their respective time periods, and the buys kind of go back to toy form, and Amory gives his little report about his experiences with. I'm not sure he's playing it coy about like saying is an actual person, but it's actually really a toy or toy-like thing. But this experience changed him quite a bit, and that's where the movie ends. But I'm so curious to know if, like, can you imagine? And this is, I don't know, kind of like a sick thing to think about. Can you imagine that he ends up being so enthralled in Native American culture, more specifically the Onondaga tribe, where he ends up like working in one of those cultural historical little facilities that keep like those old artifacts intact and things of that sort. He ends up marrying a woman of that tribe and stuff, like fully embracing it to the nines, like he's all in, like, because of this experience. And he talks his game to some Native American girls, and she gets all like heart fluttered because like, oh my god, some white boy actually knows very deep cut stuff about my people and everything like that. It's so attractive, and it's like, I just imagine that it has to go down like that, because why wouldn't you like capitalize off that knowledge? But yeah, that was Indiana covered. And yeah, it's a fun film. Once again, not like the greatest of all time, but it's a heartwarming tale nonetheless. Uh, but I kind of wish they just kept it between Omri and Little Bear, and then maybe Patrick ropes in and Boone. But matter of fact, it should have just been like those. And matter of fact, they should have kept like that medical officer. He only just pops in 2 times, just to be used to like because well, clearly he was dragged from WWE 1 while he was in the trenches, probably helping somebody, but he got dragged into present day 1995 to heal up other people. Matter of fact, there should have been a lot more of a shock with well the chieftain got more of a shock than anybody, but it's just like somebody like this medical officer should have been a lot more like it's like okay, what the heck happened? I was in the middle of WWE 1. We're in the trenches, and we get instead of demanding some answers, he's all golly gee, hornswoggle about it, and it's like I don't know. It just seems like okay, you discovered magical time travel. I think it's probably a bigger deal than you're kind of giving it. I don't know. It might be like a flux capacitor somewhere within that cupboard, or something. It got to be the key. I don't know. My money is on it being the key, being the magical thing, because it's a literal key to it all. But I guess India and the key wouldn't have the same ring to it. Anywho, that was India and the Covered. Like I said, it's still like a good film, a good family film. You can show your kids, and this is how you do like like if you want representation, you actually have tell like an original story that warrants this kind of thing, so you can be free to talk about certain things. But yeah, I mean, like, Amory had like a decent arc, showing some, approaching like his manhood in a way, and learn about responsibility. So I thought that was all like a pretty neat themes here. But anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of India in the Covered. Do you remember it fondly? Have you watched it recently? And I'll see you guys in a little bit with, cut to the chase. It's Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. It's not Thanksgiving, but it's about food. And that's what I was waiting on, because it's been many months since I had White Castle. Like probably early in the summer, I think was the last time I had it. Because prior to that, it's been very, 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 very long time since I had White Castle. And since, I don't know, the White Castle movie, Harold Kumar Go to White Castle, is probably like the best advertisement of food of all time. And every time you watch it, it makes you want White Castle. Because it does something. It just, I don't know, I'll talk about it. But I want to eat a little bit of it while, before I get into my on screen as I give my review, just to really hammer home the experience. But anyway, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Take care.